On this GMF talk, the state of journalism in South Africa and what it means for democracy. I'm joined by Glenda Daniels, an Associate Professor of Media Studies at the University of the Witwatersrand in Johannesburg. Glenda, you've described journalism in South Africa as being in a state of crisis. What do you mean by that?
Local media is drying up like you can't believe, and at such a rapid pace. For example, in just 1 year, we've had the closure of 90 radio stations. That's quite serious for local communities, just the closure of 90 local radio stations. And that's one crisis. So it's the crisis of sustainability of journalism because of digitization in media. And because of social media and competition with social media, a lot of newsrooms have lost journalists. So they're half-empty newsrooms, they're depleted newsrooms, and the resources just aren't there anymore to sustain journalism. The other crisis, of course, is that not everyone belongs to the Press Council of South Africa, where we have a self-regulatory voluntary system of ethics. Some media houses don't belong to it. So that's quite a crisis. And then we have the crisis of trust. And this is because of the conflation of social media with journalism. And the last one I would like to point to is the crisis of cyber misogyny, which is the online bullying of women journalists, which is my area of research.
If I could just pick up on those journalist job losses you mentioned earlier. They've been accelerating not just in South Africa, but in many other parts of the world too. Why is this such an issue?
It means that those journalists who are left behind, inverted commas, because they're not left behind, they're doing a very important job in terms of the role that journalism plays in a democracy. But the fact that specialist reporting and beat reporting has all gone or diminished. Now we have politics. Politics, which used to be the main beat, remains the main beat, but all those other, I was about to say little beats, they're actually very important beats: education and labor and the books page and culture and film and, all those different beats. And we had specialist reporters 10 years ago. There were specialist reporters for not just politics and sport, but all those other beats. So job losses in journalism means that publics have lost out on the information they could be getting. And this kind of information obviously informs them in terms of who they vote for, how they vote, what's happening in their communities.
Okay, so given these numerous challenges, if you had to sum it up, what would you say is the path forward for journalism right now?
Well, we need to promote a view of journalism as a public good. That's really the essence of what I'm trying to say. Journalism is a public good. And in the past decades, it's always been for profit and, commercially driven media. So I think once we move away from that kind of philosophy of that kind of model of the past to a new philosophy of the future, of the public good that journalism does, then we're moving in the right direction.
Thank you so much. That was Glenda Daniels. See you again soon for another GMF talk.